Good Sunday morning. I'm going to bring you guys a real quick story out of Houston, Texas, an unfortunate story at that. I'll be using certain words to describe certain things because the story is a little bit very explicit. International Bible Way Church of Jesus Christ has suspended Bishop Robert Carter. Bishop Carter is only being known as a family member to this victim, a very close family member. Though the police, through court records, they say that he violated this family member over 600 times. And it started when she was 7 years old. The abuse started in 2008. He would sneak into the victim's room when other family members were asleep and make her perform acts on him. In the morning time before he dropped her off from school, it would happen again. It actually started to happen in parking lots, behind stores. Anytime he was alone with her and had access with her, it would happen. When the victim was 12, the assaults began a lot worse. He began to SA her in the car, even at his grandmother's house. He was so cocky by this time with his abuse, he told her that had she told anyone, no one would believe her. He started to take her to work and continue this abuse. He worked at an office at the Greater Bible Way Church. So this was actually happening in the church that her family would go to and pray. He was doing this. She speaks out about how he would bribe her with candy and show her pornographic movies on his cell phone. He would do anything to try to get her to be enticed by him. She's 12. She's not enticed by him. When the victim was 15 years old, she became pregnant. And when she was 16, she had the baby alone in a closet. Bishop Carter took the baby to a fire department and left it there. The abuse continued. When she refused, she's a teenager, he told her, had she told anyone, he would make her life a living hell and that she would regret it. The victim had even spent time in a psychiatric hospital, according to an article in the Christian Post. Noting him abusing his daughter is what caused an episode in the victim. So I'm not quite sure on this, but the article was a little bit confusing. But I'm gathering that Bishop Carter may have abused his daughter as well. Now, in the ChristianPost.com was the only article that stated this, so I don't know if it was not written properly, but that's what it says. Somehow, something besides what we already know over 600 times, something had triggered in this woman to where she had to go to a psychiatric hospital. Her father said she had an episode. So we know now that her father had absolutely nothing to do with this at all. Over 12 years of abuse. The victim's father said that she was very damaged, and that was another reason why she stayed a lot of times in this psychiatric mental hospital. So I am believing that this close family member was probably her stepfather. I read about 4 or 5 articles. This is a developing story with very short articles. So I'm believing that this was her stepfather and that the mother wasn't home, because they don't even mention the mother. I could be wrong, but I actually think that it is. And this man had way too much access to her is another reason why. And I just hope her mother, if I'm right, wasn't turning a blind eye because he was a man of God, because it happens. It happens. Matter of fact, I'm going to put a description and a link. It's about another pastor that done the same thing with his stepdaughter, and it escalated to where it got a lot worse. I'm going to leave that article in the description box. When Bishop Carter heard of the charges, he turned himself in to clear his name, and the pastor's attorney, Eric David, said that he is presumed innocent until found guilty. So he's asking the public to not form an opinion. It seems that he will have to clear his name 600 times because I have already formed my opinion, only because there's a baby involved. That's proof. That child was actually put up for adoption, and of course, they tracked down that child, and both parties will have to take a DNA test to see if this is, in fact, Bishop's Carter's child. Until then, Bishop Carter cannot have any communication with his 14-year-old son. He has a bond set for $200,000. And that is where we are going with this. Very horrible. Very horrible. The victim is 21 years old now. So I hope she's getting some type of counseling, and I hope that there's justice for her. And I hope that eventually she can pass through this. You guys know how I like to look in comments and everything. And with me thinking this, I actually saw in a comment that someone knows this family and said it is true that he was the stepdad. Horrible story.